Good morning, class. Now let us continue the story. Today we are nearing the end of the story. In the last class, we had come to the point where the plot of the story has gone to the climax. That is, Alan had told Hui Erskine that the beggarly man whom he had given a gold coin was actually one of the richest men in Europe, and his name is Baron Horsburgh. This is the climax of the story. Hui is shocked and he is now worried regarding the reaction of that richest person to whom he had thought to be a beggar. Now he is angry and angrily, he is talking to his friend Alan. He says, I think you might have told me, Alan, and not have let me make such a fool of myself. So he now thinks that his giving of one gold coin to that old man was an act of foolishness, and he is angry that his friend had not told him before that this man who was sitting in front of him was not a beggar, but he is posing to be a beggar. He is acting as a beggar. Well, to begin with, Hui, said Trevor, it never entered my mind that you went about distributing alms in that reckless, careless way. Now, Trevor explains to him, he says, first, I can't imagine that you can give alms. भिकाऱ्याला काहीतरी देणे, alms. So he says, I could never think that you can behave in that careless way and you can give a gold coin to that man. I can understand you are kissing a pretty model. He says, I can understand that you went to him and you kissed that model, but you are giving a sovereign to an ugly one. So he is talking about the beggar, and he says, I can't imagine that you can give one gold coin to an ugly man like that beggar. By Jove, no. He says, by God, I can't imagine this. Besides, the fact is that I really was not at home today to anyone. And when you came in, and he says, first of all, I was not ready to meet anyone at my home. And when you came in, I didn't know whether Horsburgh would like his name mentioned. And the second thing was, he says, I didn't know whether Baron Horsburgh would like the fact that I introduced you to him. You know, he wasn't in full dress, as this richest person was wearing poor clothes as a beggar, and he was not fully dressed. So he says, I didn't tell you who he was. What a duffer he must think me. Duffer, a fool. So now Hui is repenting his act of giving one coin to the rich person, and he says he might be thinking that I am a fool. Not at all. Now this is the point in the plot of the play where we are going towards what is known as the falling action. Earlier we were discussing the rising action. Now this is the falling action. Now there is a great suspense created in Hui Erskine's mind, and now that suspense is towards clearance. So Alan Trevor is telling him, not at all, he was in the highest spirits after you left. Highest spirits means he was very enthusiastic and he was very happy, and he kept chuckling. Chuckle means laughing loudly and repeatedly, and he says he was actually chuckling to himself. He was laughing a lot, and rubbing his old wrinkled hands together. And he was rubbing his hands together. I couldn't make out why he was so interested to know all about you. And he says, at that moment, I didn't know why he was asking me everything about you and why he was interested in your personal life, in your details. But I see it all now. But now Alan says, he is talking to Hui Erskine, and he says, now I can understand. He was interested in you because you give him a gold coin. He will invest your sovereign for you, invest to put money so that we can get interest or we can get benefit from that in future. So he says, I know Baron Habsburg will invest your gold coin for you, means you will be surely benefited by giving that gold coin. So this is the following action. We pay you the interest every 6 months and have a capital story to tell after dinner. And he says, this act of you will help Baron Habsburg to tell an important story to his friend after dinner, and he will pay you the interest of that amount, that is gold coin, given by you to him every 6 months. Still, Hui Erskine could not believe this, and still he is in a sense of suspense and he is worried. And he says, I am an unlucky devil, Satan. But this is an unlucky poor man, growled Hui. The best thing I can do is go to bed. And he is very disappointed because of his foolishness. And now there is another technical term to this. This is known as the revelation. That is, some things are made clear. Now what revelation is here? To know some facts, revelation means. Now this is the revelation on the part of the protagonist, that the person whom he considered to be a beggar was not actually a beggar but one of the richest men in Europe. And he says, the best thing I can do is to go to bed, and my dear Alan, you must not tell anyone. I shouldn't dare show my face in the row. Row is here the first or second row in the theatre or in the cinema house, the movie house. So he says, don't tell this story of my foolishness to anyone else. Nonsense. Alan says, nonsense, it reflects the highest credit on your philanthropic spirit. And he says, on the other hand, I feel that philanthropic, helping the poor and that sort of thing, charitable state of mind. He says, but this is your good side, Hui, and don't run away. I have another cigarette and you can talk about Laura as much as you like. So Alan Trevor is actually a great friend of Hui, and he tries to console him, and he says, don't feel so sad and let us have a cigarette and you can talk to me about your beloved as much as you like. However, Hui wouldn't stop but walked home feeling very unhappy and leaving Alan Trevor in fits of laughter. Still, this could not console Hui Erskine's heart, and he is still sad and worried, anxious about what he had done, and he goes home. And when he goes away, Alan Trevor was in a fit of laughter. He was laughing loudly. The next morning, now this is the first day of the actual action of our story ends here. So major action happens in this part of the story, that is the rising action towards the climax, and there is the revelation. And actually by the end of the day, the first day of this story, the actual action of the story, the protagonist of this short story has got a revelation, has got the knowledge, has been made clear by his friend that the man actually whom he considered a beggar and given a gold coin was the richest person. Now the next day starts. The next morning, as he was at breakfast, the servant brought him a card on which was written, Monsieur means Mr. in France. Okay, Monsieur Gustave Nodin de la part de Yam Le Baron Hosberg. So there is a man known as Mr. Gustave Nodin, and he's one of the people who work for Baron Hosberg, and he has come to see Hui Erskine at his home when he is taking the breakfast. I suppose he has come for an apology. To say sorry, said Hui to himself, and he told the servant to show the visitor up. Now Hui thinks that this man had come to him asking for an apology, that Hui Erskine, who had given a gold coin to his master, that is Baron Hosberg, and now Baron Hosberg should be very angry, and he is demanding apology from Hui Erskine. So he is worried for this. He is in that sense of suspense and that sense of anxiety in the morning also. I suppose he has come for an apology, said Hui to himself, and he told the servant to show the visitor up. To show the visitor up means to bring him up. An old gentleman with gold spectacles and grey hair came into the room. Now this is another minor character in the story that appears in front of us by the end of the story. Who is he? He is Mr. Gustave Nodin, Monsieur Gustave Nodin, who is an old man. He wears gold spectacles and he has grey hair. So this man comes into the room. Though he is a minor character, he is an important one in the story, because he brings, we will see what he brings for our hero, and said in a slight French accent. Accent means the tone of speaking. So his tone is slightly French, and he says, "Have I the honor of addressing means visiting, seeing or talking, Monsieur Erskine, Mr. Erskine." He says, "Can I have the honor to talk to Mr. Erskine?" He bows. So he bows in front of him. He greets him. "I have come from Baron Hosberg," he continued. And the man says, Gustave Nodin says, I have come from Mr. Baron Hosberg. The Baron, but Hui Erskine stops him in the middle of his sentence, and before he says anything, Hui starts apologizing. Hui starts saying sorry to him. "I beg, sir, that you will offer him my sincerest apologies," stammered Hui. Stammer, S-T-A-M-M-E-R. Stammer is a verb and it means to talk with great difficulty, unable to talk. And Hui stammers in a very difficult manner. He says, "I beg, sir," means I request you, sir, that you will offer him my sincerest apologies. He says, "Please go to Baron Hosberg and tell him that I am extremely sorry for my foolishness, because I had considered him to be a beggar and I had given a gold coin to such a great man, such a rich man as the Baron." So he is in a sense of shock, and still he is afraid that the Baron must have been angry by his act. "The Baron," said the old gentleman with a smile. Now the old gentleman, Gustave Nodin, he completes his sentence with a smile, and he smiles and he says, "The Baron has commissioned me." Commission means has appointed me to bring you this letter. But he says, "I have come here not for your apologies, but my master, that is the Baron, had given me a letter for you." And he extended a sealed envelope, and he gives that pocket that letter which is sealed, which is closed, to Hui Erskine. On the outside was written, and on that envelope it was written, "A wedding present to Hui Erskine and Laura Merton from an old beggar." And inside was a check of pound 10,000. Now this is the happy kind of twist and turn in the story, in the plot of the story. And what was written on that on that envelope given to sent to Hui Erskine from Baron Hosberg? It was a wedding present to Hui Erskine and his beloved Laura Merton from an old beggar, that is Baron Hosberg. And inside that envelope, it was a check of pounds 10,000. So instead of or on the contrary of, opposite to Hui Erskine's fears that the Baron must have been angry towards him, the Baron was very happy because of that gold coin, and he understood Hui Erskine as a generous hearted, as a kind man, and had given him, out of sympathy for him, he had known the greatest difficulty in Hui Erskine's life, that is, he is unable to marry his beloved Laura Merton because of her father's condition of having 10,000 pounds in his bank account. So he has solved the problem. Now the end of the story. When they were married, Alan Trevor was the best man. Now in the Christian marriages, there is with the bridegroom, there is his friend who is known as the best man. Alan Trevor was the best man, and the Baron made a speech at the wedding breakfast, and the Baron was also present, and he actually had made a speech at the wedding feast, at the wedding breakfast. Millionaire models, remarked Alan, are rare enough, but by Jove, by God, model millionaires are rarer still. So this is the end of the story, and by the end of the story, Alan says millionaire models are rare, but model millionaires are rarer still. So this is the model millionaire, that is Baron Hosberg. So this is the end of the story. Everything is resolved, and now this story is known as the closed end. Earlier story, The Lost Child, we know that it had an open end. We didn't know at the end of the story what happens to the child, whether he gets his parents or not, whether the man with whom was actually a great man, a good man or not. We don't know what actually happened at the end of the story. There are many possibilities. So that kind of end of the story is known as the open end, but it is the closed end. The model millionaire has the closed end because now every problem is solved, and Hui Erskine is married to his beloved Laura Merton with the blessings and with the assistance, with the help of Mr. Baron Hosberg. So this is one of the remarkable stories of Oscar Wilde, who is considered as a great short story writer as well as a dramatist in the modern English literature, 20th century English literature. Thank you.